Good morning. Welcome to Unity. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Harlem. Our worship service for June 7, 2026 at 10 a.m. We're located at 318 West 139th Street. The affirmation daily word today is prayer. The affirmation of the day is prayer flows through my life. The scriptures, prayer is the spirit at all times in every prayer and every substance. Today we have a guest minister we're speaking with today is Reverend Juan Toro, and we have our celebration, opening celebration song by Nissi Toro. Please, Nissi, come and enlighten us with wonderful music today.
Good morning. All those days watching from the window, all those days outside looking in, all that time never even knowing just how blind I've been. Now I'm here blinking in the starlight. Now I'm here, suddenly I see. Standing here, it's so clear of where I'm meant to be. And at last I see the light, and it's like the fog has lifted. And at last I see the light, and it's like the sky is new, and it's warm and real and bright, and the world has somehow shifted. All at once, everything looks different now that I see you.
Isaiah 55 verse 11 says, "So shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and shall succeed in the thing for which I sent it." Unity affirmations speak to the power of our words, and particularly the power of I am. And so we say this affirmation every Sunday to affirm our divine nature. The words are on the screen, and I invite you to say them with me. I am an abundant, radiating center of God's love and light for peace, healing, and inner truth for all.
Well, I invite you all to sing this song. Let it be. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer. Let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. Let's have a good service. Yes, of course. Well, coming up, my dad, Reverend Toro, will be speaking today. Woo.
All right, Unity of Harlem, good morning. God bless you. What a beautiful day today. Before we go into the meditation today, we're going to do the meditation and then the message. I just want to greet this community. I love being here. I thank you for the invitation. Thank you, Nissi, for that great song, wonderful classic there. I just want to point out to you that I received the bulletin today, and I think it was a typo, but nevertheless, it has my name on it. But before my name, it has my title, and it has Reverend twice. So it says Reverend Juan Enrique Toro. So I think that makes me a very reverend. So I think that makes me qualified to speak with you today, okay? So the very reverend is here today. God bless you all. And I'm going to be speaking today about denials. And the title of our message today is Denials Are My Only Prayer. Now, I crafted that title to spark some curiosity. That's the intention. We're going to go into it today, and I know it's going to be meaningful for all of us. And just by the way, those of you joining us maybe outside of New York, you need to know that New York City is having what we call Knicks fever. Okay, it's everywhere. Everybody's crazy about this. Please put your prayers behind our team. We need to win this one. So go Knicks. God bless you all. And as we prepare for the meditation, I'm going to invite you, okay, because we're going to do in the meditation what I'm explaining in the message, okay? It's going to help you work it out. I'm going to invite you to find or remember a moment or situation that's provoking some negativity, okay? Any kind of judgment, condemnation, any sense of guilt, any shame. Fear is our baseline negative emotion, but I just invite you to bring that to your mind as we begin this, and then we're going to go through the process, okay? So I think I'll keep my eyes open. Oh, there we go. I'll close my eyes, and I invite you to close your eyes if it's comfortable for you. And I always like to begin by putting attention into the heart. And we breathe from the heart, as if the heart had its own breathing capacity. And what this does for us is it helps us to, first of all, quiet the mind. It centers us in the present moment. And it opens us to the experience of what we call the presence of God. Now, of course, the mind will want to interject its thoughts, like always. But if we intend to hold our attention in the heart, we can let those thoughts go. We can quiet and center in. So let's just take 3 breaths from the heart. And as we center in, I will ask you to remember a moment. Could be just a few minutes ago, could be yesterday or even last year, that provoked a reaction, a negative reaction inside of you, where you found yourself troubled, uncomfortable, reactionary, maybe judging or condemning. I'd like you to focus on a negative feeling or a negative story. And we understand that on the spiritual journey, just like the song says, we're invited not to repress or reject or resist any thought, any feeling, any emotion. That there is wisdom in opening ourselves up to experience life just as it appears to us. So I invite you to feel that feeling which I've asked you to provoke inside of you. In my case, thinking I was annoyed with a colleague recently. If I'm really honest, I would say angry. For me, that's what I'm going to focus on. And rather than try to push that emotion away or repress it, deny it, detour away from it somehow, I'm going to allow it. I'm going to let it be. In fact, I'm going to invite you to bring it closer, to feel it as deeply as possible. And as we bring it into focus, I invite you to realize an important aspect of our emotional state. Whatever emotion we have, it's made up of 2 things: a bodily sensation and a story. The story supports the bodily sensation. The bodily sensation fuels the story. And so as we bring this emotion closer, in my case, let's say anger, I'm going to separate the story from the sensation. The story is ultimately a thought. And we know that thoughts come and go. And we give them their importance by our attention on them. But in this case, let's just see this story as a passing thought, like clouds moving through the sky. They come and they go without choosing to give that story any more attention, or as we say in Unity, any more power. And so see if you can do that inside of yourself now. Separate the story from the sensation in the body. Focusing now on the sensation and letting the story go. And see if you can just focus on the sensation. In my case, there's a tightness in the stomach. There seems to be a quickening in the heart. And bring those sensations now even closer. We're witnessing these sensations. We're observing them. And as we observe them, as we witness them, we come to realize who is observing those sensations? Who is witnessing? And the answer, of course, is I am. I am. We could say I am aware of those sensations. I observe them. I witness them. I feel them in the body. But that witness, that observer, that I am, is not affected by the sensation. It is in its eternal state of quiet, of acceptance, of being. And you might notice that as you focus on that sense of being, that I am, how the sensation begins to quiet. It doesn't seem as strong. It is, after all, just a feeling. And again, feelings come and feelings go. Now for the mystical part of this process. Let's bring those sensations even closer. Closer and closer to the witness, to the observer. So close, in fact, that those sensations come into the I am, the expansive nature of self. Where? They assume their place in this expansive, infinite awareness of all that is. And in that joining, their effect, their power quiets into the stillness, the silence of I am. Continue to breathe through the heart. Just feel the presence. The I am nature. And as we come into that realization, we realize we are free. There is peace. I am that I am. Three more breaths from the heart. Now, with that sense of freedom, with that peace, we move into gratitude. For we remember that the truth of our being always helps us remember that no matter how dark it may seem, no matter how difficult, the light, the I am, the Christ nature, is always present. So for that gift, for that awareness, we give thanks today in the name and in the nature of that one presence, God. Deep breath. Amen and amen. Thank you for joining me in that journey. So once upon a time, there was a Jewish rabbi and a Catholic priest and a unity minister who all died on the same day. And they found themselves in hell. Yeah. And so there they are. And the Jewish rabbi says, well, I know why I'm here. I was eating pork on the side. You know, I'm not supposed to do that. Well, here I am. And the priest says, oh, yeah, I know why I'm here. You know that altar wine? I was hitting too much of that altar wine, right? Now, the unity minister is set aside. He's crouched in the corner there, and he's kind of hunched over, and he seems to be talking to himself, right? And the other two say, well, what's up with that guy? And they say, well, he seems to be talking to himself. So let's lean over and let's see what he's saying, right? So they lean an ear over to hear him, and there's the unity minister in the corner, and he's saying, there is no hell, it's not hot, I'm not here. There is no hell, it's not hot, and I'm not here. There is no hell, it is not hot, and I'm not here. The unity minister was practicing his denials. So, the message today, denials are my only prayer, are based on this idea. We say in unity, there is only one presence, one power in the universe, and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. It is the first tenet, it is the first idea, and if you meditate on that idea, where you come to is that the only reality, the only truth is God, and we call it good. And so we understand that of everything that happens, behind it all, beyond it all, in the center of everything is that presence and power of God, which we call good, okay? So it's not good in the sense that I'm always happy, but it's good in the sense for our growth, for our evolution, for our realization of the God presence within us, right? And so when we practice prayer, the intention is to drop all the illusions that we have about the universe being something different than God, the good, omnipotent. Okay, that's dropping the veil of that negativity. And that's how we use denial. So what I'm saying is that as we practice denial, the veil of negativity drops, and the only thing that's left is the realization of that one presence and one power, you see. And so really, our prayers need to be, from my point of view, more about denials than they need to be about affirmations. Now, let me explain what we mean by denials and unity, because we have a very particular way of using that word, okay? So, our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, taught us that prayer is a two-part journey, denials and affirmations. He joined the two. Now, I have to say that in our practice of the unity teachings, we tend to focus on the affirmations, right? We tend to focus on the positivity. We're sort of known as a very positive spiritual path, right? I think we often forget or lay aside the importance of denials. When we say denial in unity, what we mean is the following. We do not deny the thought. We do not deny the experience, the feeling. We do not deny that there is darkness or evil in the world. We do not deny the experience in any way. What we are denying is those experiences have power over us. And the better we can do that, the more the light of God's love will shine through that experience, you see. And so when we practice denials, what we're doing is getting in touch with those thoughts and feelings that are provoking the negativity, that are reacting to the negativity, and we're taking power away from them by how? By remembering the presence and power of God. So that's how we practice denials and affirmations. And Charles Fillmore very wisely taught us that before we go into affirmations, we really need to work on our denials. This is an important part of our prayer process. In fact, if I could talk to the editors of the Daily Word, I would change the structure. You know, a Daily Word is our daily devotional in unity. I would change the structure. I would put a denial first. I would explain that denial, and at the end, I would put the affirmation. That's how I would do it. Hey, I'm not in charge of that, but it would honor our tradition that Charles Fillmore established. Now, here's the interesting thing. This is just me. This is the Reverend Juan Enrique, okay? In unity, not so much these days, but when I was, coming up into the ministerial ranks, we had a symbol for unity that was the wings. It had the wings around the world or the earth. We had two wings there. You still might see some of those symbols around. I have a lapel pin with the wings on them, which I love. I should have worn it today now that I'm thinking about it. And so from my perspective, Charles Fillmore did not say this. He did not, mention this, but I'm mentioning it. I believe those two wings are denial and affirmation. It helps me remember that in order for a bird to fly, it needs two wings. In order for us to find our freedom, we need the denial and the affirmation. Now, here's what's fascinating. In Buddhism, they have something called the wings of awakening. Similar to unity. And what they call the wings of awakening are wisdom and compassion. Very interesting. And so I would actually join those two ideas. I'm joining the unity teachings with the teachings from Buddhism. I would say that compassion aligns itself with denials and that affirmations align with wisdom. And I'm going to hopefully explain that to you, but that's just me. It helps me kind of apply this, okay? So in our tradition, right, we teach about being willing to feel everything that's happening within us. And the way it works for us, I want to kind of give a little bit of instruction, a little how-to, just so you get clear. We did it in the meditation, but I want to put a little more attention on it here this morning. So let's suppose that some sort of negative experience comes up in our life. You know, somebody done me wrong. Like I said, I had a altercation with a colleague, kind of came out of the blue. It surprised me. I reacted. I was angry. I didn't say anything, but inside I was boiling hot. You know that kind of experience, right? So I'm just using that example for myself. Happened this week, so it's very fresh. And so, you know, what am I to do with that experience? Well, the first thing we need to do is acknowledge where we are, right? This is very important. We tend to sort of wash over those things. We tend to not feel them deeply. We tend to repress them. We tend to put them aside, detour away from, oh, that's negative. That makes me uncomfortable. That's not unity, because unity is all positive. Let me slap an affirmation on there. I am free. I am whole. I am totally loving. But I haven't done my prayer work, which involves denial and affirmation, you see. So slapping an affirmation on a negative experience is not really doing anything. It's kind of candy coating. It's sugar coating something that really needs to be worked on. This is our spiritual work, okay? So what we're called to do is to bring that attention, to bring our attention to that. Okay, I'm angry. I have judged. I have condemned. This provokes fear. I'm feeling a sense of lack. Whatever it may be, we're invited to bring it closer. And here's the magical part of that, right? If we're engaging in self-blame in any way, and those of us who are in truth, who try to practice our spirituality, will often blame ourselves for not measuring up spiritually to what we say we believe. We judge ourselves as not being spiritual enough, not being wise enough, not being centered in God enough. We feel that we've fallen, that we've made a mistake, that, you know, it's not working for us in some way. A lot of self-blame. The idea is to get beyond the self-blame and to simply come into the recognition that it hurts. We're wounded. This has provoked a reaction inside of us. We move from self-blame to simply acknowledging this hurts. This is uncomfortable. That's a huge step. Once we're there, we can sprinkle some compassion there. It's like a child who might be crying. If a child is crying, we're going to extend love. We're going to see what needs need to be met. We need to honor where the child may be and offer some compassion to whatever seems to be going on in their life. And that's what we do with ourselves. This is the compassion part, okay? We bring into this some compassion, some love. Okay, this hurts. Yes, it does hurt. It is uncomfortable. It's not where I want to be. I wish it was different. Whatever it is, you're acknowledging it. You're sprinkling compassion on it, which is a tremendously loving act to do. And then, of course, what helps is to be able to speak. You know, one of the strengths of the 12-step movement are the 12-step meetings, where people come in and the first thing they say is, yes, I declare I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, you know, I'm a workaholic, whatever it is. They declare it verbally, they say it in a community that understands them, supports them, and loves them no matter where they are. Very healing to be able to share it. This is why therapy is so effective. You actually can tell the therapist what's really going on. Some people, if you tell them what's really going on, they might react. They might want to fix it. So, you know, we tend not to want to share it with people who are close to us unless they understand us and unless they know where we are emotionally and spiritually, right? So speaking out would be very helpful. Okay, so those are the three things. We go from, self-blame to the acknowledgement of being wounded. We acknowledge that we're going to, whatever it is that we're feeling, we're going to add some compassion. And then hopefully we can speak it out. So in my case, there's some anger, okay? Yes, the body was tense. There's, like I say, there was a sensation of fire. And like I said in the meditation, this is a really important part. If we have a thought, take any thought, we know that thoughts come in and thoughts go out. No thought stays permanently. Now it may repeat, it may rewind itself, right? Maybe on endless replay for us. But that's because we're giving it a lot of attention. We know that we can release our attention on that. We can turn our thoughts away from that. Okay? Now, emotions are interesting because emotions have two components. They not only have a physical sensation, but they also have a story aligned with that sensation. Very interesting. A story is nothing but a thought, right? It's a thought. And just like we said, we can release the thought. We can take its power away. And then we're left with the sensation. And if we can observe that sensation, witness it, okay? That is a tremendous work that we're doing. Let me just stop there because Eckhart Tolle says, if you can witness the thought and the sensation, you're halfway home. You're halfway home. In other words, if you're intending to find some peace or some freedom or to deal with that situation, you're already halfway home in your ability to witness it. This is powerful. Wow, I'm already halfway there. Okay, so what's left? What we're invited to do is to let go of the story, take its power away, understand it's a thought, let it go. No matter how strong it may be, no matter how righteous you may feel, no matter how you think you're in the right, we let the story go. We're left with the sensation. And we're allowed to now bring the sensation closer. And we allow ourselves to feel. In my case, I was feeling the fire of this anger. The interesting thing is the more attention I give it, the more it seems to quiet. Now here's the ultimate release, freedom, healing. We bring it closer. We bring it closer. Now, as we're witnessing, we are the witness self, the observer. We have separated the sensation from the one observing. And as I said in the meditation, who is it that's observing? When you answer that question, you say, well, I am. I am the observer. I am the witness. Or, I am. Whoa, I am that I am. Now, in the I am awareness, in the Christ consciousness that we teach in Unity, we understand that that is an expression of the one presence and the one power, which is God. So as we're bringing these sensations closer to us, so close, in fact, that they actually melt into the I am. I don't know if you can get that sense. I use the word melt, join with, integrate into the I am. Now, what is the I am awareness? It is an expansive awareness of who we are in truth, our authentic self. Our authentic self, not the false self that we've created. Our identity as a human body. We can even say, I have these sensations, but I am not those sensations. I have these thoughts, but I am not those thoughts. I have this experience, but I am not that experience. I am that I am. I am one with God. The Father and I are one, right? So we bring those sensations into the I am, and there they just dissolve into the hugeness, into the eternal nature of the I am being. Does that make sense? So, the Brothers Grimm, you know the Brothers Grimm, right? They wrote all those wonderful stories. They call this kissing the frog. You pick up the frog, in my case, anger. You bring it so close that you kiss it with all its warts, with all its ugliness, with all its slimy skin. You kiss the frog, and what does the frog do when you kiss it? It turns into a prince. There we are, the prince, the I am that I am, you see? Even the Brothers Grimm are teaching us truth here today. Okay, now, what I want to do is offer you some stories that supports this to help you see how this can play out in your life. I think some examples can help you. That's the basic way in which we use this. So let me just remind you that at the Last Supper with Jesus, right, the disciples were all gathered, and he says, I'm going, right? Now Peter speaks up and says, Lord, wherever you go, I will follow. And Jesus says, well, you know what, Peter, I really appreciate that, but before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times. Oh, so later they're in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus gets arrested, and Peter decides to follow the entourage to where they were going to hold Jesus in the jail. And he's not allowed into the building, so he's outside the building. And some people approach Peter, and they say, oh, yeah, they got that troublemaker Jesus. I think you were one of those guys who was supporting him, right? And Peter says, oh, no, that wasn't me. No, you got that wrong. Next person comes up and says, hey, I saw you walking around with that guy Jesus, that troublemaker. You one of those guys? He said, oh, no. And the third person comes up and says the same thing, and he denies Jesus again, and just at that moment, the cock crows. And Peter wakes up and says, oh, my God, Jesus told me this was going to happen. Now, we fast forward. Go through the crucifixion, the resurrection. Some time passes. The disciples are lost. They don't know what to do. Peter says, hey, let's go fishing. They don't know what to do, right? So they're going to go fishing. So they go fishing, and they're out there fishing, and they're coming back after fishing all night long and not getting a single fish. They come back and they see this stranger on the shore. Later on, we find out it's Jesus, but they don't recognize him. And so they come in close, and Jesus says, how'd it go? They say, we didn't catch anything. He says, well, you need to go back out and cast your nets on the right side of the boat. Well, they're confused by this, but they take his advice. They go out, they cast the net on the right side. The net gets full of fish so much that it's hard to pull into the boat. They come back to the shore, and there's Jesus sitting on the shore. He's got a fire going, and he's cooking some fish. He's making them breakfast, right? Now they recognize him. And there Peter sits down with Jesus to have some breakfast that Jesus is preparing for him. Now, how do you feel that, what do you think that Peter was feeling when Jesus sits down with him, right? Guilt, shame, I don't know, right? He's thinking, oh, God, I wonder if he knows that I denied him 3 times. God, he's got to know because he told me ahead of time. You know, he's just full of this, oh, God, I don't know what to do. I wish I could just, the earth could swallow me whole, right? Because you're just so embarrassed. You're so guilty. You're so full of shame. He's sitting there with Jesus. And Jesus says to him, this is the genius of the therapeutic Jesus, okay? He says to Peter, Peter, do you love me? And Peter says, yeah, you know that I love you. And he says, well, feed my sheep. Okay. And then Jesus comes back. And he says, Peter, do you love me? Now Peter's thinking, didn't I just answer that question? What's going on? He's asking me the same question. This is confusing. Maybe he didn't hear me well. Well, yeah, he gets in a little deeper and he goes, yeah, Lord, I love you. I love you. Now, Jesus comes back for a 3rd time. He says, Peter, do you love me? Now Peter's going, wow, this is no mistake. He's really going for he wants to feel my heart here. So now Peter lays aside all the guilt, all the shame, all the thoughts In other words, Peter in this moment is digging in to find the authentic love. He's feeling that Jesus is asking him to demonstrate his love in that moment from the heart through his words, right? And Peter digs in deep and he says, Lord, you know everything. He's admitting now, okay? You know everything. Yeah, I messed up. You know everything. And I love you. Now, what has he done in that moment? He's denied the guilt, the shame, and he's come into love. He's gone from denial to affirmation inside of him. I don't know that he did the process I explained, but through Jesus' therapeutic questioning, he's come to that authentic love, and he expresses, Lord, you know that I love you. And Jesus repeats the same message. Well, then feed my sheep. In other words, go forth and do the ministry which I have been preparing you for. Whatever's happened in the past, whatever errors you committed, let it go. Go forth and be who you are meant to be. A realization of freedom for Peter, right? Excellent example of the therapeutic process. Denials and affirmations. Second story. You know the book Les Miserables, Broadway show, book, all kinds of great songs. Les Miserables has a hero, Jean Valjean. Jean Valjean was a young man, and he stole a loaf of bread. His family was starving in those days, and he needed to feed his family, and so he steals some bread. He's caught, and he's put into prison. And in the prison, they throw the book at him. They leave him for years in a very awful circumstance. Torture, lack, hard work, right? He comes out as a grown man. He entered as a boy. He comes out as a grown man. And he doesn't know what to do, and he's released. So he's sort of wandering through the woods. And in the woods, he chances upon the house of the local bishop, okay? And this is a very humble man. He's got a humble home. And he knocks on the door at night, and he says, do you have a little food for me, right? And the bishop says, my good man, come on in. And he offers him a wonderful meal. He gives him clothes. He gives him a dry place to sleep. He says, you are welcome in my home. Now, Jean Valjean notices that the bishop has 2 candlesticks which are made out of gold. It's the only thing of value in the house. And so he does what somebody who's fearing lack, feeling not enough, and who's only known for the most part in his life abuse, negativity, darkness. He steals those candlesticks and he steps out into the night, right? Thinking, I got me some 2 candlesticks. Well, it turns out that the police actually find him and they question him. And they find the candlesticks in his bag. And because they got those little crosses, from the bishop, they knew exactly who those candlesticks belonged to. So they grab him by the nape of the neck, and they bring him back to the bishop, and they say, this man had your candlesticks in his bag. The bishop opens the door. The police accuse him. And he says to Jean Valjean, oh, my dear man, you forgot to take these plates, which I had also given you. In other words, he's not supporting the police in the fact that he had stolen those candlesticks. He's offering him more grace, more love, more freedom. And the police say, what, you're not going to accuse him? He says, no, I had given him those candlesticks, and now he had actually forgotten to take these plates. Wow, the police have nothing to do, so they leave him alone. Now Jean Valjean doesn't know what to do. He leaves the house. He goes into the woods. What is he feeling? Oh my God, he's just been in the presence of unconditional love. Something he's never experienced before. And this experience of unconditional love from that bishop was so powerful that it released all the negativity that he had lived in his jail time. All the injustice, all the negativity I mean, it was not an instant process because he spent the whole night wrestling with himself. But at the conclusion of that process, he makes a declaration. I'm going to be a good man. And so it is that from that moment on, he lived a righteous life. Okay? Now, what happened here? Again, denials and affirmations. He had to deny the fact that he was unworthy, that he was a bad person, that he's a criminal. Yes, he'd stolen the bread, right? But he's releasing any power that he had about feeling guilty for that, feeling shame for that. He's releasing that, and he's absorbing the experience of unconditional love that he had from the bishop. So he's free. He's free of that negativity. Now, the great metaphysics of this story is that there's another character called Inspector Gervais. And Inspector Gervais has his doubts about this guy, Jean Valjean. Even though he seems to be living a righteous life, he knows he's a thief, and he's convinced that he's a bad man, and he's looking for ways to trap him and to put him back in jail. And this goes on. It's a big book. It goes on for the whole story. Right? Inspector Gervais is always looking for this guy and always trying to trap him. And metaphysically, what this tells us is that we have thoughts in our head that even though we've made this powerful declaration, yes, I'm going to be good, yes, this is who I am, the negativity continues to come back. It's not like it's gone forever, right? It continues to emerge. But Jean Valjean, to his credit, throughout the whole story, continues to hold his truth, okay? And wonderful metaphysics. At the end, Gervais kills himself, commits suicide. Symbolic of that, after years of processing, after years of hearing that negativity in our voice, he's free. Gervais dies, and he can continue to live his life as that good man that he's declared himself to be. Great metaphysics and a wonderful example of the use of denials and affirmations, because every time Gervais went after him, you can feel the injustice of that. You can feel the fear of that. And he continued to let that go. That's not who I am. I am this. You see denials and affirmations? That's not who I am. That doesn't explain who I am. This is who I am. Another powerful example of that. Now, the third example I want to share with you is our own co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, right? She received the diagnosis of tuberculosis in a time when that was a terminal disease, right? And she goes to a lecture, Dr. E.B. Weeks, and he says the following words. He says, as a child of God, you do not inherit sickness. Now, that's the only thing that we know about that lecture. But those are the words that she used to start processing what was going on inside of her, right? She'd been given this diagnosis of tuberculosis, but as a girl, she had been told by the women of her family that in our family, every other generation of women contract tuberculosis, because that had been the history. Every other generation, she was told, well, I'm sorry, but it's your turn. And go and behold, she had believed it. She had taken that on as her truth. And there she is manifesting tuberculosis. And so she takes those words, as a child of God, you do not inherit sickness. What does this mean? This means that I have believed something which is not true about who I am. I am a child of God before I am Myrtle Fillmore, before my identity as a human being. There is only one presence. There's only one power. God is absolute good, and that absolute good does not inherit sickness. So she locks herself in a room for 1 year. What is she doing in that room for 1 year? She tells her husband and her children, look, I'm off the grid. Don't come to me for food or for any kind of attention. I'm doing my prayer work. So she would lock herself in a room for 1 year. What was she doing in that room? She's working on denials more than anything else. Why? Because she realized that she had believed in the disease. She had seen herself as somebody who is sick. And she's shifting that identity into, that's not who I am. Who I am is somebody who's a child of God. My Christ nature, my I am. God is in this experience, and that experience which I had believed in, I'm letting go. I'm taking the power away from it. She never denied the disease. What she denied is that that disease had any power over her because she's a child of God. Okay? Now, Charles Fillmore observed that and actually motivated the entire unity movement through her example. And from my perspective, of course, I was not with her in that room, but she's working more on denials than she is on affirmations. Why? Because she's dropping the veil of all the negativity that she had accepted, you see. And so she's dropping that veil and discovering the I am nature, the one who can witness that. Says, yes, my body has tuberculosis, but I am not my body. I am a child of God. So you see denials and affirmations, they're working in hand. But I think she was working more on her denials than her affirmations. That's my own perspective. And it motivated the entire unity movement, you see. So in this case, we have somebody who is experiencing a difficult diagnosis, a difficult situation in life, and is taking the power away from the doctors, the science, everything she'd been told, her family history. She's taken the power away from all of that and finding the authentic I am presence, the one power, absolute good, and she healed completely from then without any medical treatment. Last story, okay? So this week I had a colleague come to me and say, well, Pastor, I'm having a difficult situation. I have to go to the funeral of my father. My father died suddenly last weekend, totally unexpected, in his sleep. And she says, I'm grieving. I'm going this weekend to bury him, and I need some help. So we sat down. And you know what we did? We took all that grief, all that loss, all that sadness. I did with her just as I'm instructing for you. Okay? It hurts. Grief and loss hurt. I'm wounded. It hurts. Yes, acknowledge that. Bring it closer. There's a reason why you feel that, your love of your father. We explored a little bit of truth. What do you believe about the soul? What do you believe about your father deciding to leave now? She had, it turns out, some theology within her, not mine, that said, he's probably in a better place. Well, okay. So do you believe that? Yeah, she says, okay. So we continued to process that, and ultimately we brought that sense of loss and grief, separating the story from the emotions into the witnessing self, kissing the frog, taking the frog with all its warts and slimy skin and integrating it into the I am. And to help us do that, I had her put her hand on her heart. And she's also a Spanish speaker. So I invited her to repeat these words with me, solo Dios, which means only God. So she put her hand on her heart, and together we joined in prayer. Only God, only God, only God, only God, solo Dios, solo Dios, solo Dios. And in that only God, she found her peace for that moment. We know that grief is, it continues. But she found peace in that moment. So, you see how first we had to deny, and then we went to affirmation, which is what I'm trying to communicate here today. We deny the power of that situation. So for us to take it home, I'm going to invite my daughter to join me again for just a moment and help me express the idea of what it means to allow those emotions. Please join me in a chorus of Let It Be.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
You see the words? See the words of wisdom? Let it be. So, friends, if you're like Peter, guilt and shame. If you're like Jean Valjean, feeling unworthy, not enough, poor, unjustly treated, injustice, if you're feeling like Myrtle with some kind of diagnosis or some kind of life situation which challenges you at depth, if you are like my friend facing grief and loss, there is a power in being able to recognize where we are, acknowledge it, let it be, bring it close, kiss the frog, integrate it into the I am, become free and affirm as a child of God, I am free. And so this is why denials are my only prayer. God bless you, Unity of Harlem. Amen. All right.
stories end. I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind of the sea, like a sea drop by a sky bird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for things I've done you blame me for. But then again, we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
Thank you, Nissi. Wonderful. So, yes, I've been changed for the better because I knew you and you and you and you and all of you out there. One presence, one power, I am. Let's join in the Unity Classic prayer, our prayer for protection. Together, please, on the screen. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. Oh, I'm sorry. We're doing in response. Okay, so let's start over again. Prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. Together, we are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. Together, we are the love of God. The power of God protects us. Together, we are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. Together, we are the presence of God. Now together, wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen and amen and amen. And now our Unity National Anthem, the peace song. Come on. Don't leave me hanging here. Come on.